Good afternoon, children. Welcome to Vandana's biology class on human reproduction, menstrual cycle, fertilization, and implantation. This is a part of the chapter 3 of NCERT class 12th biology textbook. The menstrual cycle is a monthly series of events that are associated with the maturation of an oocyte and the changes in the follicle. Approximately it is 28 days cycle. Day 1 of the cycle begins on the first day of her period. Several follicles will start this process at the same time, and usually only one will reach the ovulation and all others will degenerate, which is called as follicular artesia. Menarche. The first menstruation begins at puberty. It is called menarche. The menstrual cycle is the cycle of events starting from one menstruation to the other menstruation to the next one. And menopause, the stopping of menstrual cycle at around the age of 45 to 50 or so is called menopause. The menstrual cycle has different stages. The three main stages are menstrual phase, follicular phase, and the luteal phase. The menstrual phase is from day 1 to day 5, where the unfertilized ovum is ruptured and along with endometrial lining and blood it is shed off. And from day 5 to day 14 there is a primary follicle which develops into a Graafian follicle, and inside the Graafian follicle you will find what is called as the oocyte, which finishes meiosis 1. It finishes actually the prophase 1 actually of meiosis, and it becomes a secondary oocyte with a polar body. In fact, it finishes prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1. Okay, and here the division is unequal and it forms what is called as the secondary oocyte, which is very small, and the primary oocyte, which is large. Right? The endometrial wall of the uterus degenerates. In the follicular phase, we find the release of gonadotropins, that is LH and FSH. Follicle stimulating hormone, initially it stimulates the the growth of Graafian follicles, and as the Graafian follicles grow, they secrete what is called as estrogen, and luteinizing hormone is actually produced to favor the growth of corpus luteum. After the Graafian follicle ruptures and releases the ovum, the remaining part of the Graafian follicle differentiates into what is called as corpus luteum under the influence of LH, and the corpus luteum synthesizes progesterone, which helps in maintaining the pregnancy if the fertilization has taken place, and it ensures that the endometrial lining also is thick and the thickness is maintained throughout the pregnancy. Now next let us look into the ovulatory phase. Ovum is released actually at the day 14 approximately, it's actually, and rupture of the Graafian follicle releases ovum, and this is ovulation. And after the ovum is released, if it is fertilized, then yes, there is a pregnancy that is likely to be registered. If the fertilized ovum that is now becoming zygote, if it goes and implants. Now what if it is not fertilized? Now then next we will come into the luteal phase here. The remains of the Graafian follicles get converted into corpus luteum. Corpus luteum acts as endocrine gland producing what is called progesterone. Progesterone helps in maintaining the endometrium, which is necessary for implantation. Now what is implantation? Implantation is as I in the previous video I told you that the fertilization occurs in the fallopian tube at the point of isthmus, isn't it? Ampullary isthmic junction. If the fertilization occurs there, now the zygote it starts dividing and slowly it comes down into the uterus and tries to establish a connection with the walls of the uterus. Now if it is able to establish very well with the uterus, now then it is called as implantation and pregnancy will be registered. Now in this picture there are two parts, you see. The upper part, please see children, there is a primary follicle, a secondary follicle, and the vesicular follicle, and ovulation and corpus luteum being shown here. And look into the third one, that is the vesicular follicle, which is called as Graafian follicle. And usme you are finding the red dot, isn't it? Now the red dot is actually, it's shown red for you to understand. So that is your oocyte, the ovum, and there is a white thing coming up there, you can see there, and that is a fluid filled cavity, that is antrum. नीचे का डायग्राम देख लीजिए, उसमें 1 to 5 the lower part of the picture shows the endometrial thickness, how it varies. From 1 to 5 it is going down, and 5 to 25 how the endometrial thickness steadily increases, and again there is a fall. So 1 to 5 menstrual phase, then 5 to 15 it is called follicular phase, also it is called as proliferative phase, okay, and 15 to 28 it is called as luteal phase, or also it is called as secretory phase. And at the 14th day where ovulation occurs, there the levels of FSH and LH are really high, and that is called as LH surge. Now here you can see that the levels of FSH, how it has it's maintained, and at the day 14 you are finding a little higher level of FSH also, and estrogen, as the Graafian follicles develop, they synthesize estrogen, and the levels of estrogen reach a high peak on the 14th day, then that corresponds to actually ovulation. आप ऊपर देख लीजिए, ऊपर से नीचे का मैच कर लीजिए, okay, and LH, estrogen, all these levels are high there, and after that you find a steady decrease in the LH and estrogen and FSH levels, and only progesterone level is maintained high, and of course LH level also is little high only, because it is going to ensure that corpus luteum is functioning properly. And understand that at the end of the cycle, that is the levels of all the hormones virtually is going down. Now that is the third part of the picture which I was speaking about. Coming to the middle part, you see children, again once again look into the endometrium, how the thickness of the endometrium keeps varying. 0 to 5 it is really low, 5 to 25 on 25 days onwards it has steadily increased and then maintained, and after that it again goes down. And सबसे ऊपर का diagram देख लीजिए, you are finding the slow growth of the primary follicle to secondary follicle, Graafian follicle, and the rupturing of the Graafian follicle and the formation of corpus luteum. All these three events shown in a single picture, you can just see, okay. Now here's the children, this is a TS of the ovary, which is showing you primary follicle is there, then late primary follicle, secondary follicle, Graafian follicle is there, and Graafian follicle, how it is rupturing and releasing the ovum and becoming what is called corpus luteum. It's actually a cycle of events. What happens with the ovarian follicle, it's shown in this diagram, okay. Now children, a wall of the uterus, most importantly. Wall of the uterus is having three main layers. The outermost layer is a perimetrium, then the middle layer is a myometrium, which is actually muscular, and the innermost layer is endometrium, whose thickness we were speaking about till now. Endometrial thickness will vary, okay, depending on the time of the menstrual cycle. From 1 to 28 days, the thickness is not constant. Here also an interesting diagram again, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts of the diagram you can see children. So the lowermost part is showing you the endometrial thickness, and these little above that you are finding what is called as I'll just try to actually zoom it. Yes, so we are able to see the blue line is estrogen hormone, and the orange kind of a brown color is progesterone, and you are able to see during the LH surge the estrogen level is also a little bit increasing, and above that we are able to see what is called as the different stages of a Graafian follicle, and at the point of LH surge, it is showing what is called ovulation. And सबसे ऊपर का जो डायग्राम है उसमें आप देख लीजिए FSH and LH levels. FSH level is shown in some kind of brown color, and the LH is shown in almost black color. You can just match these hormone levels. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 parts, and in the middle where I'm trying to point out, I'm just zooming it, children. You see, follicular phase. Estradiol is nothing but again estrogen. It is secreted by growing follicle in increasing amounts, and then luteal phase, that is your secretory phase, where progesterone and estradiol secreted by corpus luteum. Okay, they are there. Progesterone is synthesized by corpus luteum. Progesterone and estradiol promote the thickening of endometrium, and in the beginning of the ovulatory phase, or your the follicular phase, in fact, sorry, in the beginning of the follicular phase, you find that the estrogen level is also very low. Okay, and in the follicular phase, the level of estrogen is increasing and reaches a maximum during the LH surge. The progesterone level is not really good there, but once a corpus luteum is formed, the progesterone level slowly increases. But one thing you notice, at the end of the cycle, the level of LH, FSH, estrogen, progesterone all will really go down, and that is where actually it is the bleeding phase. Okay. So now you can see the lower portion is actually showing you the days 0, 5, 10, 14, 15. You can see that the ovulation corresponds to 14 to 15 days. Okay, right, like this. Let's look into the next one. Yes, this is again a graphical representation of the different hormone levels, menstrual phase and proliferative phase and the secretory phase, right? Next, coming to what is fertilization and implantation. Fertilization occurs at the ampullary ischemic junction of the fallopian tube. The process of fusion of sperm and the ovum is called fertilization. During fertilization, the sperm induces changes in the zona pellucida and blocks the entry of other sperms. Okay, this is very important. In the earlier video also I told you that polyspermy will be avoided thoroughly. Okay, then acrosomes help the sperm to enter the cytoplasm of the ovum. Let's look into this, the structure of the sperm, very important. And the acrosome is the upper portion, then you find the nucleus, and you find the collar which contains mitochondria, flagellum, all these are the different parts. Children, the diagram of the sperm is also very important from the CBSE exam point of view. Okay. Now next, this particular picture, look into the picture, this given to the right side. Now this is actually one ovum which is actually getting surrounded by many sperms. Okay. Now you see what is happening here. The first diagram actually shows you the path of the sperm, how it is entering via the vagina and the cervix into the uterus, and how a particular egg or ovum is surrounded by many sperms. Then in the third picture you can see only one is literally entering into the ovum, and fourth, now as I told you, zona pellucida becomes thick and now nothing can enter again, so polyspermy will be avoided. And next is your how a fusion occurs, that is fertilization is taking place, right? The completion of second meiotic division of secondary oocyte. In the earlier point I discussed that the primary oocyte, when ovulation occurs, actually primary oocyte is undergoing meiosis 1 to develop into secondary oocyte and the polar body, but meiosis 2 is not yet completed then, right? Now the meiosis 2 will be completed, and the formation of a haploid ovum and the second polar body, and the polar body is discarded, and now as the fertilization occurs, now it directly becomes what is called as the zygote. Now here you see how unequal divisions occur, and earlier video I told you what is the difference between spermatogenesis and oogenesis. This is one such significant difference. In case of spermatogenesis, you don't find such unequal divisions and all, whereas in oogenesis, divisions are unequal like this. So it is the first polar body and the ovum, you see how it is being formed. So how you see the acrosome is containing the enzymes, how it is trying to penetrate. It's actually an enlarged portion which is showing how it is trying to penetrate the wall of the ovum. Okay. The zygote undergoes a series of mitotic divisions called cleavages. Now, every division is not termed as cleavage, children. Here, what divisions zygote undergoes, they are called cleavage. Now, you see a single celled zygote divides into 2 and then 4 and then 8. Now, at the 8th celled stage, it is called morula, and next it divides into what is called blastula. Okay. So, how in the first one it is just shown that how a sperm is trying to enter into the ovum, it is trying to fertilize, and now second one is a zygote, then you see 2, 4, isn't it, and the 5 is morula, then 6th is blastula, and seventh one is what is called gastrula. Okay, so here again the same thing is being shown, and day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 morula, and then blastula. This particular stage, it is having what is called the fluid filled cavity, trophoblast, and the inner cell mass. Now, from here onwards, each and every cell is particularly important, because as they develop, some cells are destined to become the nervous system, some cells are destined to become the muscular system, some cells are destined to become the what is the digestive system. Like these, there is a these trophoblast cells, we say they are actually pluripotent. That means they can divide and give rise to different organ systems of the body. Now, you see morula, interestingly the name morula is given to this particular stage because it appears like the fruit of mulberry, it seems. So, under the microscope, so it was given named as morula. Okay, now you see blastocyst, the formation of a blastocyst, how it is formed. The cells in the blastocyst are arranged into outer trophoblast and inner cell mass. Okay, just looking to outer trophoblast and inner cell mass. So, in the middle diagram, you see how it is nicely getting arranged. So, outer layer is there, middle layer is there, right? The trophoblast gets attached to the uterine endometrium, and this is called implantation, and then that the pregnancy is registered. Okay. And once the pregnancy is registered, the inner cell mass gets differentiated to form what is called as embryo. Now, you see the path of oocyte from getting released, that is from ovulation to implantation. You can just see the first portion as I show you here. Yes, I am trying to zoom it and show you. Oocyte is there, ovulation it is released. Now then you see actually fertilization has happened, and it's just proceeding. First cleavage, second 4, 8, day 4, 8 celled embryo, isn't it? Then yeah, this portion I'll try to enlarge. Now you see yes, so blastocele, inner cell mass, zona pellucida layer. I mean, you are able to see how the it has gone, and it is trying to embed in the wall of the endometrium and try to implant itself. So that is what is called implantation. When it tries to attach to the endometrium of the uterus and develop further, that is called as implantation. Okay. Now you see again nice pictures. Day 0. It is actually the ovum is getting surrounded by sperms. Then next is zygote, the first cleavage, then 2-celled, 4-celled, then early morula, late morula, isn't it like this? You are able to see the different stages, and each and every one how it is, where its position is in the fallopian tube hai. Uske baad last mein it is reaching the inner wall of the uterus, that is endometrium, and trying to establish a connection there. Okay, now you see 7 days and 10 days. Okay, now you see how it is getting very well attached with the endometrium, and deeply it is trying to establish a connection with the uterine blood vessels, and so many things you can see. After 7 days how it is, after 10 days it how you can see, and I am trying to show you chorion and amniotic cavity, and chorion and yolk sac, and the extra embryonic membranes actually. Okay. And here you are able to see finger like projections. Those are your chorionic villi. Villi means finger like projections, and they try to establish a deeper connection with the uterine tissues, right? Now you see here again blastocyst is having trophoblast and inner cell mass, and that is how uterine wall it is there, and trophoblast, how it invades inside the uterine wall and tries to establish a deeper connection, right. The trophoblast forms finger-like projections called chorionic villi surrounded by the uterine tissue and maternal blood. The chorionic villi and uterine tissue get integrated to form what is called placenta. Placenta is very important because it is a connection between the growing fetus, and by now as the embryo grows further, we call it as fetus, fetus, or FOE also may be given in few of the books. And the fetus is actually trying to derive everything virtually from the mother's body. It cannot synthesize anything, so virtually from what the mother eats, it is going to derive all the nutrients. The fetus is virtually like a parasite on the mother's body, taking everything from the mother's body. Okay, the placenta is connected to the embryo by the umbilical cord. You see a picture of this, you just observe, children. So here I am showing you chorionic villi. Okay, I am just zooming it. Yes, chorionic villi you are seeing, children. You are able to see amnion. Amnion also is a extraembryonic membrane, and actually the baby is present. Now the fetus is present in an amniotic fluid. It is trying to develop its own heart and digestive system. These things, I mean, the first thing that it tries to develop is its own heart, and if a gynecologist can listen, it will they can listen to the heartbeat and the sound of the heartbeat of the fetus also. Yes, picture of the fetus inside the womb. Now the growing uterus also, as the embryo grows in size naturally, the uterus also is growing in size, and that's such a uterus which is enlarged, that itself is called as what is a womb in case of generally terms it is called as. So for the layman, womb only they will understand. Amniochorionic membrane, amniotic fluid, umbilical cord, here you are seeing how well it is shown. And now chorionic villi and the endometrial layers together, they form what is called as placenta, as I told you earlier. Okay, so did you understand how and why I told you that the fetus is totally dependent on the mother's body for everything virtually, right? Next, functions of the placenta. What is it? Supply of oxygen, you see. So even of course, when the baby is inside the body of the mother, oxygen also it will take from the mother's blood. Carbon dioxide it will give to the mother's blood. Nutrients it will take from the mother's blood. Waste products it will give back to the mother's blood. Everything. Now placenta also produces what is called as human chorionic gonadotropin, HCG. Very, very important observation, children. Human placental lactogen, estrogen, progesterone, relaxin of course in the later stages of pregnancy to relax the muscles of uterine muscles, of course. So HCG, let us look into this. Human chorionic gonadotropin hormone is produced by the placenta when pregnancy is registered. Okay, so our nowadays the testing vials or kits which we get to test whether there is a pregnancy, look into this, whether human chorionic gonadotropin hormone is being produced or not. So that's the vial is actually testing this, and based on this the pregnancy is confirmed, right? Now here you see chorion, amnion, amniotic fluid, umbilical cord, embryonic blood, okay, and placenta, mother's blood. So the mother's blood, and you're seeing that mother's blood and the embryonic blood virtually are coming in very close contact. Okay, so this is where I'll try to link it to your 11th class one particular aspect where RH factor, if the mother is RH negative and the baby is RH positive. Okay, so this is where that the rhesus factor, that is this particular antigen from the fetus can come in contact with the mother's blood, and the mother's being RH negative, can destroy, in fact, because now it is antigenic and foreign, so the mother's immune system can react rigorously against the fetal blood, because fetal blood is Rh positive. Okay, children, you remember it is erythroblastosis fetalis, or hemolytic disease of the newborn, it is called as. Clear? So you see how closely the fetal blood and the mother's blood are coming in contact. Now, immediately after implantation, the inner cell mass gets differentiated into ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. This is what I told you, children. Now, these cells are pluripotent. They have the capacity to divide in and give rise to different organ systems. So, these multipotent cells are called stem cells. Stem cells, and nowadays some of these cells are freely available when the baby is born, so they are trying to take out these stem cells at the time of birth and preserve it in liquid nitrogen, called cryopreservation. And the latest one, that is called as stem cell technology. We have it in biotechnology chapters, and when I teach that, I'll be teaching you these in detail. Understand that after implantation, then the inner cell mass is differentiated into ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm, and these are three layers. Last year animal kingdom you have learnt about diploblastic and triploblastic, isn't it? So these are, we are all triploblastic there. Triploblastic matlab three layers. Now you see ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm kaise hai yahan pe diagram mein dekh lijiye, isn't it? So you have seen. So each particular layer, the cells are giving rise to a particular organ system. Now let us look into this part. Yeah, ectoderm, epidermis, you are seeing, I'll just zoom it so it will be clear. Yes, epidermal, what all ectoderm is doing. Okay, neural system, and actually it's giving rise to skin, mammary glands, lens, inner ear, brain, spinal cord, all these are formed from the ectoderm. Then endoderm is giving rise to your gut, that is a part of digestive system, lung, liver, pancreas, all these. Mesoderm is giving rise to, you see, skeleton and your muscles and uterus, kidney, ovary, so that's what, as I told you, these cells are multipotent, so they can give rise to different organs. Now once again you see what is how is the womb, and what is the picture of the fetus at 25 days and 45 days, you see, isn't it? So 25 days virtually इंसान का शेप भी नहीं है, कुछ अजीब सा शेप है ना, बट एट द 45 days you see एक बेबी सो रहा है अपना, taking, withdrawing the limbs especially towards itself as if it is trying to sleep very close, so that's how it appears, isn't it? Now next is you see very well shown here, amniotic cavity is there, uterine cavity, yolk sac, placenta, cervix, all these are there. Okay, so you can see how the baby is placed here. Then 4 weeks may, what is the length? 5 weeks, what is the length? 6 weeks, 7 weeks, you see that the length is a little bit increasing, the size is a little bit increasing. Okay, you see the forelimbs and hind limbs are being formed here, and the head region is expanding. You can see all these, isn't it? Now you see at the end of 35 days or so, lens and eyes are being formed. You are able to see the development, how it is taking place. Have a closer look, I'm just zooming it. 37 days how it is, 40 days, 45 days how it is, isn't it? So this is how. Then 49 days eyelids are formed, webbed fingers, notches, all these. So 56 days time पे you see virtually it's more appearing hands and legs जैसे दिख रहे हैं. पहले they were like more forelimbs and hind limbs, now you can see them like hands and legs, isn't it? Now coming to parturition and lactation. Human pregnancy has a duration, gestation period is 9 months, or rather I would say 270 days or so. Okay, it's not actually 9 months की बात नहीं है, थोड़ा इधर उधर भी हो सकता है, but depending on the condition, medical condition of the mother. At the end of the period, vigorous uterine contractions lead to the delivery of the fetus. The delivery of the fetus is called parturition. What is it called as? Parturition. Parturition is started by the signals from the developed fetus. एक बार fetus का पूरा development हो गया, it gives signals, so it produces what is called as fetal ejection reflex. Now this fetal ejection reflex has been a 1 mark important CBSE question also. Okay, So what is responsible for the fetal ejection reflex? The fully developed fetus and the placenta are responsible for the fetal ejection reflex, which causes what is called parturition. This causes the release of oxytocin from the pituitary. Oxytocin is responsible for stronger uterine contractions. So these uterine contractions, rigorous ones, cause what are called labor pains. Okay, this leads to expulsion of the baby along with the placenta. And once this is over, you see, by the time the full development has taken place, you see how the baby has grown and full size, and the head position, the head of the baby is towards the cervix, and it's ready to be delivered now, right? Now you see birth process stage 1, ruptured amniotic sac. थोड़ा वो rupture हो गया amniotic sac and it is trying to come out. The next stage 2, placenta, say how the baby is trying to come out, and it's being pushed out, you see, isn't it, because of uterine contractions. Now stage 3, you see umbilical cord is there, and uterus, now the baby has completely come out, and this umbilical cord is still connecting the baby. So that is what they try to take it out. In fact, the doctor, the gynec, has to really cut it off, isn't it? Now what is lactation? During pregnancy, the mammary glands undergo differentiation. In fact, they grow, and the milk is produced during the end of the pregnancy. The milk produced during the first few days is called colostrum. Very, very important. Why? Because in the 2-3 days, in fact, the first few days, colostrum will have a lot of immunoglobulins. And these immunoglobulins, or antibodies which we call, are very important for the child, because the baby is born absolutely without any immunity. So no resistance. As far as the baby is inside the mother's womb, totally it is protected because of the mother's immune system. But now the baby is out, so its immune system has to function, and virtually it doesn't have any. So the mother's milk is having antibodies which is there for the newborn to develop some kind of I would say innate immunity, or very non-specific immunity. Some immunity it will try to provide to the baby, because now the baby has to build its immunity. Okay. I think I have given a good overview of the chapter, children. Now these concepts should be clear to you now. The diagram of the sperm, the diagram of the menstrual cycle, the graphical representation, and the details of the different hormones and things are very important from the exam point of view. And as I share the CBSE questions to you, okay, you can prepare from this, and till we meet for the next chapters. Bye bye.